You've been told butterflies are delicate, decorative, here for a single, fleeting day before they're gone, a pretty accident of nature that doesn't really do anything except look nice in a garden. Almost none of that is true. The real story is stranger. An animal that tastes the world through its feet instead of its mouth. That never fully stops being the same creature, even after its own body dissolves inside a chrysalis. And that can fly farther, non-stop, than almost anything else alive that weighs less than a paperclip. Anything you know about butterflies is wrong. Stick around, because the real version is better than the myth. Start with the basics almost nobody has right. Butterflies aren't a small, tidy category of a few dozen well-known species. Scientists currently recognize somewhere between 17,500 and 20,000 distinct species, spread across every continent except Antarctica. And that number keeps climbing as DNA testing uncovers species that were hiding, genetically distinct, inside what we thought was just one. And here's the first thing everyone gets wrong just by looking at one up close. A butterfly has 4 wings, not two forewings and 2 hindwings, working together in flight. What looks like colorful, solid fabric is actually a transparent membrane made of chitin, covered edge to edge in thousands of tiny overlapping scales, layered like roof tiles. The color you're seeing almost never comes from pigment sitting in the wing itself. It comes from light bouncing, bending, and interfering off the microscopic structure of those scales. The same physical trick that makes a soap bubble shimmer. Myth number 1, and probably the single most repeated thing people say about butterflies with total, unhesitating confidence. They only live for one day. It's in children's books. It's in casual conversation. It's the kind of fact everyone half remembers from school and nobody ever questions. So where did it actually come from? And once you check, does any part of it survive contact with reality? The one-day myth almost certainly comes from a case of mistaken identity. Mayflies, those really do live about a single day as flying adults. It's right there in the name. Mayfly gone by evening and somewhere along the way, in the retelling, the 2 insects got mixed up. The reality for butterflies is very different. Most species live around 2 weeks as adults, not one day, 14. And plenty go far beyond that. Monarch butterflies in the right conditions can live up to 9 months. Red admirals have been recorded living up to 10. Some tropical species in the genus Heliconius have been tracked surviving 6 months or longer in the wild, feeding on pollen in a way most butterflies can't, which is likely part of why they last so long. A 2-week butterfly was never the exception to feel sorry for. A one-day butterfly basically never existed in the first place. Here's a stranger one, and it's completely real. When a butterfly lands on a flower, it isn't tasting anything with its mouth. It's tasting with its feet. Chemoreceptors on its legs on the tarsi specifically detect sugar, salt, and bitter compounds the instant it touches down, which is how it decides, in a fraction of a second, whether that surface is worth feeding from, or the right host plant to lay its eggs on. Its feet are, functionally, its tongue. Land first, taste first, decide everything else after. While we're correcting things, moths are not the dull, ugly, night shift cousins of beautiful butterflies. Plenty of moth species are every bit as vivid, every bit as elegant, some genuinely rival the flashiest butterflies for color and pattern. The real, reliable difference has nothing to do with beauty, and almost nothing to do with day versus night. Either there are exceptions on both sides of that line. The actual dividing line is a tiny hook-like structure called a frenulum, which joins the hindwing to the forewing in almost every moth species, locking the 2 wings together in flight. Butterflies don't have it. That's the real answer biologists actually use. Now the biggest myth of all, the one about metamorphosis itself, the transformation the entire animal is named for. You were probably taught, somewhere around elementary school, that inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar completely dissolves into liquid, and an entirely new, unrelated animal is built from scratch out of that liquid. Like a construction project, starting from an empty lot. Almost right. And the part that's wrong is, genuinely, the most interesting part of this entire video. Most of the caterpillar's body really does break down its legs, its gut, most of its muscle into a nutrient-rich soup that fuels the rebuild. That part of the myth is true, but scattered through that soup, surviving intact, are roughly 20 small clusters of cells called imaginal discs. They've been there since the caterpillar was still an embryo inside its egg, quietly waiting through every larval stage, pre-built blueprints for the wings, the legs, the eyes, the antennae of the adult it will eventually become. And here's the critical part almost nobody tells you. The caterpillar's brain and the nerve cord running the length of its body do not fully dissolve. They persist through the entire transformation, which means the animal directing this whole rebuild deciding, in some biological sense, how the pieces go back together is the same animal the whole way through. It's never erased, it never stops being itself. It gets stranger still. Because the nervous system survives, researchers have actually tested whether memory can survive along with it. In one well-known experiment, caterpillars were trained to avoid a specific smell, ethyl acetate, by pairing it with a mild shock. The same basic conditioning technique used in dozens of animal learning studies. Those same individuals, once they had fully metamorphosed into adult moths, still avoided that exact smell. A memory, formed before the body dissolved and rebuilt itself from the inside out, carried through to the other side of a total physical transformation. So, an animal that never stops being itself, even through a total bodily transformation that would kill almost anything else. What does an animal like that do with a body built specifically for flight? It turns out something almost nobody expects, even people who think they already know the answer. Everyone's heard of the monarch's famous migration. It's practically a cultural icon at this point, taught in schools, filmed for nature documentaries every year. Far fewer people have heard of the painted lady, a smaller, plainer, almost forgettable-looking orange and brown butterfly that quietly holds the actual distance record for the entire species. The painted lady's round-trip migration covers roughly 12 to 15,000 kilometers, the longest confirmed round-trip journey of any butterfly on Earth, more than a third of the way around the planet. And here's the part that makes it even stranger. No single butterfly ever makes the whole trip. It's a relay, not a marathon. The full annual cycle from equatorial Africa, across the Sahara, up through Europe, and back again takes roughly 10 successive generations, each one flying a single leg of a journey its own parents never lived to finish. And in 2024, scientists confirmed something even more extreme. Painted ladies completing a 4,200-kilometer nonstop crossing of the open Atlantic Ocean, from West Africa to South America, in just 5 to 8 days, an insect that weighs less than a paperclip, almost certainly riding high-altitude wind, currents the entire way over open water, with nowhere at all to land, rest, or refuel. Researchers only pieced the route together by analyzing pollen still stuck to the butterflies' bodies when they were found on the other side. The monarch's own migration is shorter in total distance, but no less remarkable, and it's the one most people have actually heard of, which makes it the perfect place to shift from wonder to something more urgent. What's really happening to these animals, right now, in the numbers scientists are tracking this year? But before we get to that, it's worth understanding exactly what's at stake here, because this isn't just about butterflies being nice to look at in a garden. It's about the food on your plate. Butterflies, alongside bees and other pollinating insects, help pollinate an estimated $235 to $577 billion of global food production every single year. In the United States alone, pollinators contribute an estimated $34 billion annually to the economy. Roughly 35% of the world's food crops, almonds, apples, blueberries, and dozens more depend on animal pollination to exist at all. This isn't a nice-to-have, a bonus service nature happens to provide for free. It's infrastructure, the same way a power grid or a water system is infrastructure. Now, the numbers that matter most right now. In the most recent winter count, published for the 2025-2026 season, the eastern monarch population occupied 7.24 acres of forest in central Mexico, up 64% from 4.42 acres the year before. After years of decline, That's real, measurable recovery, not a rounding error or a statistical fluke. But that recovery needs context, and the context is harder to hear. Scientists estimate 15 occupied acres is the minimum threshold to consider the eastern migration safe from extinction risk. 7.24 acres, even after a 64% jump, is still less than half of that. And the longer view is even harder. Monarchs have declined more than 80% since the 1990s at their central Mexico wintering sites, and more than 95% since the 1980s along coastal California. The Western population, a genetically and geographically separate group, was counted at just 12,260 individuals across 249 sites this year, mirroring last year's dire numbers almost exactly. That's not a rebound, that's a population hanging on by a thread. Conservation groups tracking these numbers closely, like the Xerces Society and the World Wildlife Fund, are direct about what this actually means. The eastern recovery is real, but fragile, built on habitat that's still shrinking year over year, whether that's growing more extreme and unpredictable. And herbicide use across the American Midwest that keeps erasing the milkweed monarchs depend on to breed at all. One good winter, however welcome, does not undo 3 decades of decline. So here's where all of this actually lands. The animal you were taught to think of as soft, brief, and simple is none of those things, not even close. It lives for weeks or months, not a day. It tastes the world through its feet before it ever uses its mouth. It never stops being itself. Even after its own body dissolves and rebuilds around a memory, it managed to carry through to the other side. It can cross an open ocean, nonstop, on wings thin enough to crush between 2 fingers. And right now, quietly, it's still fighting for a real chance to keep doing all of that. Plant milkweed if you can. Let a patch of your yard go a little wild, instead of mowing it flat. And the next time someone tells you, with total confidence, that a butterfly only lives for a day, you'll know exactly how wrong that is, and you'll actually be able to explain why. Anything you know about butterflies is wrong, but now, a little less of it is.